everybody. Welcome to my brand new masterclass called Find and Keep Your Ideal Man. So, my name is Emma Lorraine Pask, and I am a dating and relationship coach. And I specialize in helping women in their midlife period find and keep their ideal man. Now, your midlife period is a time when you've already been around the block. By this time in your life, you've had one or several serious relationships, and so you already know what doesn't work. Well, at this point in your life, you have a choice. You can either conclude that relationships are too difficult, too painful, and that perhaps you're better off staying alone. Or you can decide to learn the lessons from your past relationships and alchemize those past painful experiences into golden nuggets of wisdom that will help you move forward and have the best relationship of your life. Now, I know that the second option is entirely possible because in my 7 years of supporting women just like you to find love, what I've seen again and again and again is that when women get themselves into the right mindset and the right heart space, when they dial in their intuition and get crystal clear on what they want and need at a deep soul level, they effortlessly meet their ideal match in just 1 or 2 dates and go on from there to have the most fulfilling relationships of their lives. Okay, so let's get into it. We are here tonight to talk about how to find and keep your ideal man. So, perhaps so far in your life, you have been stuck in a cycle of toxic or disappointing relationships. And let's face it, intimate relationships can go wrong in numerous ways. So please comment below if you recognize one or even more of these scenarios. So some relationships just drift, right? They become boring, sexless, lifeless. You end up living like friends or perhaps even as strangers who are living totally separate lives. And when the children have grown up, you find that there's nothing left between you. Perhaps, though, even though your partner has checked out of the relationship, you are still very much invested. But perhaps you're over-invested. Perhaps you're over-functioning, mothering your partner and managing the relationship when he is already emotionally gone. And perhaps because any of number of these reasons, one of you ends up cheating. Either he ends up cheating and you're left shattered by the betrayal, or perhaps you're the one that cheats because you feel so unloved by your partner and unattended to. Maybe, though, the reason that your past relationship or past relationships have broken down has been more to do with toxicity. Perhaps you've been trauma bonded in your past relationships. Now, this means that his childhood wounds and your childhood wounds have interacted in such a way that both of you have ended up feeling drained, hurt, exhausted, and damaged. So an example of this would be an anxious avoidant dance that has played out in relationship, or even worse, a narcissist versus empath and people-pleasing dynamic. And perhaps that toxicity has escalated to the point where there's been some kind of abuse, like either emotional, verbal, or physical. But whatever the case, as your last relationship came to an end, you felt surely there must be something better out there for me. Yet at the same time, your confidence has been destroyed. And perhaps you've been left feeling terrible about yourself, about men, about intimate relationships, and your ability to navigate the whole thing. And so now, at the end of this relationship or this series of relationships, you feel highly uncertain about how to go about finding a better quality man and feeling more fulfilled in love, even though that's what you would love to be able to do. But with hope in your heart, you get back out there to date anyway. Now, the problem is perhaps you just seem to keep meeting the same kind of men. And although they might appear on the surface to be different kinds of men to the one that you've previously been in relationship with, they all turn out to have their own issues and problems. Perhaps the sexual chemistry is great, but this new man is emotionally unavailable. So again, post in the comments if you recognize one or more of these scenarios. Perhaps this new man has so much baggage that it turns out he simply can't do love. Perhaps he's not over his ex, for example, or incredibly entwined still with his ex-wife and understandably his kids. Or perhaps it's something different. Perhaps you meet love bombers on the internet who give you all the blah, 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 but then cruelly dump you and go ghost. Or perhaps you've met a man or men who turn out not to be who they say they are. And perhaps it's less dramatic than that. Perhaps you do meet some perfectly decent guys, but there's simply no chemistry or you don't feel any attraction. Or maybe you just keep meeting men who are blatantly after one thing, and we all know what that is. So, the first question you have to ask yourself when it comes to finding and keeping your ideal man is how to stop attracting the wrong ones. So, I always find it really, really interesting when a woman that I meet, women that I meet say, I just keep attracting the wrong kind of man. Because whilst it's true that as women we have a magnet that draws some men to us and repels others, attraction is also very much a two-way street. Somehow, somewhere, we're also actively attracted to the wrong kind of men. Now, we might not be conscious of the parts of ourselves that are choosing these men or understand why we're choosing them. But the hard and uncomfortable truth is that we're not entirely passive or guiltless when it comes to this magnetism that exists between ourselves and the wrong type of man. We are picking or choosing these men in actual fact from an unconscious place. And our job, if we want to find and keep our ideal man, is to start by understanding our subconscious drives that are attracting us to these wrong men and bring those subconscious drives into our conscious awareness. Because the truth is that relationships and the interactions that we're having with the wrong kind of men are simply mirrors of parts of ourselves that we're not aware of. And these parts really need bringing into the light in order to heal. So, if you're stuck in a cycle of dating and relating to the wrong kind of men, then I would like to suggest that you're stuck in what I call the deadly Bermuda Triangle of love, i.e., the place where love goes to die. Now, it's a triangle because it's made up of three parts. The first is your unhealed childhood wounds. So, when we're looking for love, our inner child is in the driving seat far more than we wish to acknowledge. And this is because we're looking for the same kind of intimate attachment that we experience with our family of origin or our primary caregivers when we were young. When we're looking for love, we subconsciously seek and are attracted to that which is familiar to us. So, if we go back to this idea of magnetism, our subconscious or unconscious mind is powerfully magnetized towards men or people who remind us of our parents, our primary caregivers, or perhaps other people who were significant to us at a younger age. But we don't consciously realize that this is what's happening. And the result is that we unwittingly end up with people, relationships, or situationships that are achingly familiar to us in a primal, earlier developed part of the brain. So, the second part of the deadly Bermuda Triangle is made up of our limiting beliefs. Now, our limiting beliefs are often born out of our early experiences as well. And these can be beliefs about ourselves, beliefs about men, about relationships, about intimacy, or about love. So Because of the things that happened to us in the past, we develop secret limiting beliefs. We might secretly believe, for example, that we're not worthy of love, that intimate relationships are dangerous, or that men can't be trusted. But what happens is that because these beliefs are taking part in and taking root in the recesses of our brains, we confuse these beliefs with reality. We project these subconscious or secretive or recessive beliefs out into the world. And what happens, again, coming back to this idea of magnetism, is that these beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies. If we believe, for example, that we aren't worthy of love, we're going to shy away from people who are available to love us, or just simply feel nothing for them because we don't recognize them as familiar. If we believe that men can't be trusted, our defenses will be up and we'll behave in strange self-sabotaging ways when men try to get close to us. Or we might alternatively do something different. We might go along with men who treat us badly, believing somewhere in the back of our minds that this is normal. And because it's normal, it must be acceptable. The third part of the deadly Bermuda Triangle of love is unhelpful cultural conditioning. Now, this is where societal opinions about men, women, and relationship interact with our own personal stories. We might get the message from society at large that men are generally dangerous, selfish, emotionally stunted, or simply sexually driven, and that as women, we are the victims of this. We might have taken in messages about what you should and shouldn't do when it comes to dating and relating to men, a lot of which is frankly extremely outdated. Or we may have bought into the current dominant collective opinion that the dating apps are full of losers and that you can't trust anyone online. But frankly, a lot of this is pure BS because reality is a lot more nuanced. And buying into the hype that is now everywhere on the internet about men, dating, relationships, etc., is only serving to undermine your confidence further. But worse than that, buying into unhelpful cultural conditioning also takes you off your intuition. What I would call your feminine genius, your feminine wisdom, and your feminine power. And it can easily put you into a type of emotional straitjacket when it comes to navigating early dating and relating. So, your first step in liberating yourself from attracting the wrong kind of men is to understand where and how you are personally stuck in this deadly Bermuda Triangle of love. And that's going to be slightly different for everybody. Now, to do this work, right, you really need to slow down. If you jump from one relationship to the next or from one man to the next without stopping to pause, to reflect, to heal and integrate the learning from each relationship, you're simply going to take the energy from the last relationship that you were in into the next one. And in doing so, the same kinds of relationship patterns are likely to play out again and again with similar kinds of men. However, if alternatively, you take the time to face your own personal deadly Bermuda Triangle of love, to heal your childhood wounds, to develop healthier and more empowering beliefs, and to dial in your personal intuition, I promise you that you will, before too long, have a completely different experience around men. You'll no longer be a magnet for the wrong ones, but an energetic match for Mr. Right instead. If the wrong type of man comes into your field, which I'm sure he still will, or into your dating inbox, you will simply give him zero energy because you know that you are worthy of so much more. And you'll also have the trust and faith that you can have the love that you truly want and need. And you know, when you get rid of the wrong type of man, you're actually actively creating space for the right person to come in. I don't know whether you've ever heard the saying that nature abhors a vacuum, but it's absolutely true. And nature will always move to fill the space that you create in your life. So this brings me on to my second point. Now that you've gotten rid of the wrong type of man, you need to work out how to find the right one, right? The kind of guy who is perfect for the unique woman that you are at this particular point in your life. The kind of guy who will fit into your lifestyle, who will fit in with your family and friends, the kind of guy who will support you and who wants the same things out of life as you do. Someone who is a true match for the life that you want to create going forward. And this is really an essential point because so many men, sorry, so many women that I meet, and possibly men as well, get hooked into chemistry or attraction based on their subconscious drives. And they don't really give enough thought as to how a future partner might fit into, support, and enhance the already full and active lives that they have. Now, if you're bouncing from one man to the next or from one relationship to the next, the likelihood it is as well that you're still going to be in reactivity, right? And each man and each relationship or situationship is a reaction to the last, right? You haven't taken the time to sit down and really consciously consider who or what it is that you want at a deep soul level. So, to help with this, I take my clients through a profound and important exercise that I call the relationship blueprint exercise. Now, this is entirely different to simply writing out a list of the qualities that you're looking for in a future partner. Because if you write that list from your head without engaging the deeper, more subtle, less conscious parts of your mind and your body and your heart, your list is simply going to be ego driven. So you might end up saying, if you write a list from your head, that you're looking for a man with money, a funny man, a tall man with broad shoulders. And who doesn't love that? But at the same time, this is really only skimming the surface. And the truth is that you need to go a lot deeper than that. To find your person and really build a healthy, committed relationship, you need to take into account deeper parts of your psyche, a wide range of things in your life, and ultimately get a lot more intentional. So, the relationship blueprint is an exercise in which you brainstorm all of your desires. Yes, 100%, absolutely. But also all of your fears and your vulnerabilities. Next, you write out all the ways that this man will enhance various facets of your life, as well as considering how you want to be seen, how you want to feel, and what you're going to bring to the relationship. And then finally, once we've got all of this out on the table, we cook it all up as though it was a casserole, and we reduce it into an incisive and to the point blueprint for love. Now, what this process does is it takes you way beyond your egoic mind, beyond the personality traits and physical attributes that you're looking for in a man, and deep into their character instead, deep into their values, and also deep into how their character and their values will be a match for yours. And it's these deep characteristics and values that when you're looking for in your ideal man will define what I like to call your true north. Now, defining your true north is another vital step in terms of finding and keeping your ideal man. Because once you've defined your true north, the only question becomes then, am I moving further away or closer to it? Whichever the answer, you have a guiding reference point and you are no longer shooting in the dark. And the more you can feel what you want, the closer you're going to be to it. And this is what the relationship blueprint exercise does so well. It not only tells you what you want up here, but it also gives you that sense of how you want things to feel. And as I said earlier, the more you can feel it, the more easily it will come, because now the law of attraction is starting to work in your favor. So another principle that I teach is to shine your light so brightly that somebody else shining their light brightly can find you. Now, in practice, this might mean writing a standout magnetic dating profile that grabs attention on the dating apps of high quality men who, trust me, absolutely do exist. And indeed, over 90% of my clients effortlessly meet their ideal man online within just 1 or 2 dates. They know exactly who they're looking for. They know exactly how that person is going to feel in their system. They know how to attract that person and exactly how to spot them online when they show up. And this is what makes their experience of online dating so easy, effective, and effortless. Now, there are also plenty of other ways to meet men that I also teach, but the main point here is that if you do the healing work, to get yourself out of the deadly Bermuda Triangle of love, to set your compass to true north, to develop the confidence and belief that you can have what you want, and to embody the feeling that you already have it or that it is very close by, you will meet your ideal man just like that. I've seen it time and time and time again. Because what's happening now is that your magnet is clean, bright, and shiny, right? Rather than wonky, dusty, broken, and a little bit vague. And as I've already said, this makes the law of attraction work in your favor. So this brings me on to point 3. How to keep this man around and build a committed love that lasts. So now that you've met your ideal man, right, it's all about building. You want this relationship to last. Now, there are lots and lots of different factors that go into building successful, healthy relationships. But right now, I want to focus on a key point that really is going to help you build the foundations in those first couple of months. Because so many relationships go wrong ultimately because the dynamic gets off to the wrong start in the very beginning. And there's nothing worse than meeting a man that you really like, only for it to go off the boil and collapse after the second, third, or fourth date, or even a few months later down the line. So the posture that I help women assume as they're dating is a posture in which they have an upright but flexible spine and an open heart. So to make this just a little bit more real, because it's a little theoretical, what I'd like you to do if you're listening right now, wherever you are, whether it's standing, sitting, walking, or even lying down, just try embodying this posture. So place a little attention on your lower spine, first of all, and see if you can just extend it a little. So you're dropping your tailbone and you're elongating any areas that are crunched up in your lower spine. So you're just trying to give it a little more length. Now I want you to place your attention on the top of your spine, the place where your back meets your neck. And I just want you to elongate that a little bit too, so that you're lengthening there. Now, this is going to, as you've just seen me do, mean dropping your chin ever so slightly to create more space at the back of your neck. And now I want you to imagine, so don't drop your chin too far, because I want you to imagine that there's a thin gossamer thread gently extending from the top of your head upwards towards the ceiling or towards the sky. And it's connecting you to your higher power. And you're gently suspended from and supported by the universe through this higher power. Now, what I'd like you to do is just roll your shoulders back ever so slightly so that your collarbone widens. And maybe now, while you're here, just have a little wiggle so that you can feel the flexibility as well as the length of your spine. And here you really should get a sense that there's space around your heart, right? There's an opening here. Your heart is open. And when it comes to dating, willing to be surprised. So in this posture, the spine represents your standards, which you're absolutely not going to drop. But there's also a flexibility here. You're relaxed. And as I said, your heart is open. Right, so this is the ideal energetic posture that you want to be in those early days of dating. Now, again, if you haven't done the healing work to get out of the deadly Bermuda Triangle of love, you're still reacting to something that's happened in a past relationship, and you haven't set your compass to true north, you're going to end up, as I said, being a bit wonky. And what that tends to mean when it comes to dating posture is that you're likely to be leaning either too far forward as you date, or you're going to be leaning too far back. So leaning too far forward is really a metaphor for anxious attachment, right? In this posture, you are desperate for his attention. You need a lot of reassurance. You stare constantly at your phone, waiting for him to text or call. You sleep with him too soon because that kind of energy, right? You break your own boundaries to please him. And you self-abandon your true needs while simultaneously putting the kind of pressure on the relationship that is likely to drive any healthy man away. Who knows that one? I've certainly been there myself. Leaning too far back in this scenario is a metaphor for avoidant attachment. So in this posture, your heart is closed, right? Nobody lives up to your standards. Your expectations are way high and no man is good enough. And for that reason, you just simply can't commit, right? It feels like he's putting too much pressure on you. Your body is a temple that no man can enter, and your boundaries are walls that men simply can't scale. So even if you do meet your ideal person, both of these postures are going to cause the dynamic to go off the boil, to become unhealthy, and ultimately, the relationship will end up failing. Now, when you manage to learn the posture that I have been describing to and taking you through, and when you can master this posture in real life, learning how to apply it to a wide range of dating and relating situations, your feminine energy is bright, radiant, and magnetic. You are a high value woman because your standards are high. But at the same time, your heart is warm, open, and inviting. And it's really from this place that a good man is going to be inspired to show up and meet you with his full masculine presence. And this is a great foundation for healthy, ongoing love. Your relationship is not going to be weighed down by energetic debris from the past. You're not going to put any undue pressure on him, and you're not going to push him away. And so the dance of healthy masculine and feminine can begin and has all the right ingredients to really take off. So when you master this posture, and you know how to apply it in those early stages of dating, your communication is also going to be clear. And your communication is going to be clear because your standards are high and you know what you want and you're willing to back yourself up. Yet your communication isn't harsh, it's not demanding. It's soft and inviting because you're relaxed and open. You've dislodged the energetic debris of the past and you're able to trust both yourself and him and the process of getting to know one another. The final thing that I want to say about this posture is that it also massively supports your intuition. Remember the gossamer thread. You are guided by your higher power, by your true north. And because they're not contracted or going off center or protected or anxiously leaning too far forward, your heart and your tummy are available to truly feel. And it's in your heart and your tummy that your intuition lies. So in this posture, your senses are really able to attune to what wants and needs to happen next in the relationship. You're attuned to him because you're seeing him clearly and not through the lens of the Bermuda Triangle. And you're attuned to yourself because you've taken the time and space to do that and really figure out your own wants and needs. So, as I said, if you can maintain this posture and learn what it means to apply it in real time in a wide number of situations, no matter what stage of relationship you're at, you will experience healthy, committed, and fulfilling love. So, if you'd like to learn how to do this and sustain it over time and are looking for some support with that, hit me up at the link in the comments.